Akram here, and in this lesson we will explore game documentation and the different elements that go into preparing this documentation. Before any game development begins, the basic structure of the game must be determined. This takes place as part of the concept stage of game development, during which the initial game design documentation is prepared. Design documents are comprised of several documents that help express the vision for the game, describe the contents, and present a plan of implementation. The goal of the design document is to express the core idea of the game, establish the core team and tasks, define the game mood and tone, determine the game goals, and is revised throughout the phases of development. As the design document is revised and expanded upon, it will be referred to as different titles, each of which is developed during different stages of the development process. During the concept phase, the first document developed is the concept document, which provides a brief overview of the target platform's key features and gameplay. The proposal, expanding upon the concept document, which includes market analysis, profit and loss statements, and technical analysis. During the pre-production phase, the design document is created. This expands upon the two previous documents and includes character details, level design requirements, gameplay mechanics, user interfaces, music, and audio details. During pre-production, a standards guide is also developed. This identifies the design strategy and tools used to create the game, sets a standard for all assets code and version control system. The concept document is the most important document as it is essentially what sells the overall game idea to the game development team and possibly even the publishers. The concept document is made up of several parts, including the game overview, the game features, platform requirements, game premise, game objective, gameplay, game team. The game overview provides quick details about the game, including the game title, platform, genre, rating, and target market. When pitching your game concept, it is important for game designers to demonstrate that they have a realistic view of how successful their game may be. Therefore, it is important to narrow your target market as much as possible. Don't say that everyone will buy this game. That is unrealistic. Instead, narrow your market to, say, 25 to 40-year-olds who enjoy multiplayer strategy games on PC, for example. During the next version of the concept document, the proposal document, you will further expand on the target market and possible profit margins of the game. The game overview also includes the high concept, which is typically made up of two parts, the game vision and the x-statement. The game vision describes what you and your team hope to accomplish. This summary is usually no more than a paragraph in length. Here is an example of the game vision for the game Crypto Space. Crypto Space is an ambitious project where we aim to create a whole new virtual universe on the blockchain. It will feature a massive open universe with space combats, futuristic space technology, digital ownership of game assets, all of this wrapped around a great story of its own. The X statement is the creative center of your game, a quick overview to describe your game, and is made up of two parts. The Razor, which is a comparison to other games or game genre to help determine what features are a must, and a slogan, a catchy phrase that makes the game sound fun to play. Here is an example of the X statement for the game's Plants vs. Zombies. Stem a zombie attack in an all-new action strategy game. There's a zombie on your lawn. Get ready to soil your plants. The game features highlight the unique selling point, or USP, of the game. These are the features that make the game stand out and why players will want to play / buy it. Maybe it takes advantage of new technology like VR, or perhaps a new weapon system, or simply a rich dynamic story which the player has control over. In the concept document, the USP along with secondary features are typically written as a bulleted list and will be expanded upon in later documentation versions. The platform requirements outline any specifics of the game dependent on the platform. For example, if the game is on mobile, perhaps touch controls need to be identified, as well as what hardware will be capable of running the game. The game premise section provides a rough idea of the narrative and or theme of the game. In this section, details regarding the story setting, where the game takes place, is included, along with the player's role. Who are they within the game? The main game objective is also highlighted, and any noteworthy sub-objectives. However, the sub-objectives will typically be added as pre-production begins. When it comes to defining the game objectives, designers need to be able to answer the following questions. What is the player's goal? What does the player need to do to win, and what is the losing condition? What are the player's actions, and how do these actions work? Gameplay refers to the player's experience and predominantly their choices, challenges, and consequences that the players face in the game. In this section, the different game modes and game controls are also mentioned. It is also important to have a rough idea of the game hours, the numbers of hours of gameplay in the entire game, as it directly relates to the target market and market profit. Hardcore gamers, for example, will expect several hours of gaming, while casual mobile gamers might only expect a few minutes at a time. The last section of the concept document is the game team, which identifies the core team, what their role in the project is, and what are their credentials. Typically, a resume for each member is included in this section. It is sometimes hard to visualize a game simply in written documentation. That is why it is important that design documents include visual documentation. Visual documentation refers to any visual representation of elements such as spatial layouts of levels, UI elements, character sketches, and more, to provide everyone with a better understanding of what the game is all about. Describing a game concept can be made more difficult than other forms of entertainment because games are non-linear. Traditional media such as film is linear, meaning that it is a product presented in sequential order. However, in a game, the player often has control on how they experience the game, making it non-linear, meaning that the project can be presented in any order depending on how the audience controls the product. Because the path the player takes to get from one part of the game to another differs, it may be difficult to explain without some sort of visual documentation like a storyboard or flowchart. Storyboards are like comic book versions of game sequences to help illustrate user interaction, gameplay, or game animations, cinematics, and or cutscenes. A flowchart shows a process representing the steps as boxes and their orders connecting with arrows. Flowcharts are used in a variety of project types which may have multiple outcomes based on user actions, such as software engineering, app development, interactive interfaces, and game development. In game development specifically, flowcharts are used to illustrate the flow of the entire game, the interface, level, and or quests and objectives. Over the years, there have been lots of controversy over game documentation in the game industry, arguing that game documentations were increasingly becoming bloated and the development team was not even bothering to read the 300 plus pages of the document. Today, game design documents have gone completely digital and are built in sort of a wiki platform. The development team can quickly search and reference the parts of the document they need to review and easily update the document throughout the development process. I hope you found this lesson informative, and don't forget to check out other lessons and tutorials on the channel. So what are you waiting for? Get creative today!